Amanda Lorenz, but number 10 in orange is about as good as they come in the SEC.
Leach is just the perfect leadoff hitter for Tennessee because she can basically do it all. You're going to see her swing away. You can see her put a bunt down. You can see her try to use her speed. One thing specifically that Tennessee has been working on is swinging away more and gaining more power. You can see Leach right away with swinging the bat in that first pitch.
1-1 pitch. Upstairs for ball 2, so Aubrey Leach ahead in the count, and there's Ralph Weekly, co-head coach for the Volunteers. His team looking for its first win in Gainesville in 6 years, and potentially a series win for the first time since 2007. Line drive right at Sophia Reynoso, and arguably the most dangerous player in the batter's box for Tennessee goes down on a handful of pitches, and it brings up the next batter for Tennessee. Amanda Ayala, sophomore, hitting .477 on the season. And boy, for a player that has really grown up this season. Going to miss for strike 1. 21 RBIs this season, part of a very potent Tennessee lineup that leads the SEC in batting average. Last year, she only had 21 RBIs in 54 games, and really stepping it up.
If I'm Florida and I'm looking at this Tennessee lineup, just like you said, very potent, but I'm circling Amanda Ayala. She just brings so much to the dish, so much diversity, but so much power as well. Just a complete hitter.
Barnhill can't get the swinging strike. But right there, that's big for her, and that's what we were talking about pregame too, is how important it is for Kelly to get that first pitch strike against this Tennessee lineup.
Oh, it's huge because Tennessee knows what's going to happen. She's going to come with their rise ball. So do you swing at it early and then try to stay off of it?
Strikeout number 1 for Kelly Barnhill, one of the best in the country, make that number 102 on the season.
And that's what makes Barnhill so hard, is that she'll go upstairs with her rise ball that's slower, but then she hums that screwball at 70 miles per hour, so it's hard to catch up to it as a hitter.
Beautiful night in Gainesville, 71 degrees right now, not a cloud in sight, and very little wind. Kaylee Phillips at the dish, hoping to get a 2-out base runner for Tennessee here in the top of the first. Swing and a miss, and back-to-back batters for Kelly Barnhill. An 0-2 count, really putting that batter in a tough spot. The 0-2. Just inside half the Gators lineup thought that was strike 3.
I think everybody thought that was strike 3. That was a very close pitch. This is a great 2-strike pitch. This is a ball, but that's what you're trying to get that batter to swing and miss on. That's what Kelly's envisioning when she's trying to throw that pitch, right in that zone.
Got her on the next pitch, and Kelly gets it done again, retiring the Vols in order, and we head to the bottom of the first here in Gainesville. Bottom of the first, and our first chance to take a look at the freshman Ashley Rogers out of Athens, Georgia, going to Knoxville, and she's had a great freshman campaign so far in the non-conference. 6 starts, a 5-0 record, and 3 complete games, but Francesca, this isn't any old team you're facing tonight. What do you want to see out of her in these first handful of batters to calm those nerves and get off to a good start?
Well, I like the move to start the rookie Ashley Rogers in the circle. When you think of the other pitching staff with Kaylin Arnold and Maddie Moss, they've gone up against Florida's offense and they've lost. So being able to throw the freshman who's going to predominantly just throw rise ball, rise ball, rise ball. You see Karen Weekly who calls the pitches for Ashley Rogers, but so Florida's going to have to try to look down and not try to chase that rise ball from Rogers out there in the circle.
First SEC game, and nothing like baptism by fire for Rogers, and she faces the top of the order for the Gators, starting with Hannah Adams. First pitch strike, that has to build the confidence, especially when you're on the road in your first conference start.
That's definitely what you're thinking as a pitcher in this type of atmosphere. Just get that first strike, just get into a groove, and so you can pitch Ashley Rogers' ball.
So Hannah Adams, the leadoff hitter for Florida. She's struggled at that spot this year, and a move we're a little surprised to see, but we'll get to that later in our broadcast. But for head coach Tim Walton, he knows what he's doing. He's won a few games in his career here at Florida. Pitch outside, so 2-1 to Adams, who is hitting about 200 in the leadoff spot and 450 in any other spot in the lineup. Do you like the move to still have her at leadoff after a week off of playing games?
You know, I like the move because even though she doesn't boast a high average, she gets on base often with some walks. And, I mean, one of the biggest reasons why you put her at the top of the lineup is because you want, you know, your best hitter, Amanda Lorenz, to be in that 3 spot to try to hit in Hannah Adams, who should be on base. So really, Florida just trying to tinker with the lineup to see if they can find a new recipe for success.
Count even at 2-2 to the Gators' leadoff hitter. Looks like it nicked Adams, so get on base any way you can, and the leadoff batter aboard first. Rogers started off with a first pitch strike, but ends up hitting Adams right on the elbow.
And this is something that the freshmen, I'm sure, prepared for when coming to face against Florida, is that Florida knows their hitting zone. They are not going to chase out a lot of pitches. They try to get hit by pitches often. They do anything they can to get on base. So Rogers is going to have to be able to attack the zones and get ahead.
Sophia Reynoso, first pitch, strike right down Broadway. So runner on first for the Gators. Looking for its 8th win in its last 9 tries against Tennessee here in game 1 of the 3-game series. Another pitch high, and that was the scouting report we were talking about before the game, is you have to expect a rise ball the majority of the time from the freshman Rogers. So when that starts getting a little bit too high, how do you coach that?
Well, I think one thing we're seeing, though, is like she likes to throw it right after she gets a strike. She gets a strike with her screwball, then she comes with that rise ball, but she has to make it baitable. Those 2 rise balls that she's thrown has come off the mitt of the catcher, Allie Shipman. So just trying to find her control. And again, it's the first inning. She's a freshman, so it might take her a little bit to feel the adjustment she needs to make and to feel that spin coming off her pinky.
Reynoso slaps it foul, but still a strike to even the count at 2-2 in the bottom of the first is Florida. We mentioned the busy travel schedule all throughout the month of February, finally settling down with conference play upon us. Going to Tempe, going out to Fullerton, and that tournament in Clearwater. It's nice to just settle down.
And it's nice to be able to settle down back at home. You know, this is their stadium, this is their home field. So after being away for that long, you get to start the SEC play off at your home field.
Allie Shipman going up to the circle for just a moment with the count full. Freshman talking to a fellow freshman here against the 4-time reigning regular season champions of the SEC. Reynoso, another foul tip into the net behind home.
It's just what makes Florida so hard to pitch against is, again, they know their zone and then they just chip away at pitches that are close to it. It's about finding that one pitch that's going to get it by them. Maybe jam her, maybe kind of take a ball off the plate to get the swing and miss. But what is that pitch going to be for Rogers?
This ball put in play. Reynoso pops it up right by the chalk, and the play made by Aubrey Leach, one of the leaders of the clubhouse, and that is a big out for Tennessee and Rogers, because you think about this too, a Florida offense that really struggled in its 5 games out in Fullerton just last week. You get runners on first and second in the bottom of the first at home, that starts getting a little bit tighter, and that's what you mentioned too. For a Tennessee team that doesn't have a lot of experience beating the Florida Gators, it sometimes just gets in the back of your mind with any team that you've lost to year after year.
Well, I think especially for that at bat for Ashley Rogers against Reynoso, it's like that's big confidence. You know, you battled 3-2. She battled off a few pitches of yourself, but then being able to kind of jam her to get a lazy out is huge, especially after giving up the hit by pitch to Hannah Adams. And of course, I mean, I could just guess that Karen Weekly's talking to her freshman pitcher saying, all right, we got that one out. Now look who we're going up against. We're going up Amanda Lorenz, who is one of the best hitters in the entire country.
Well, now going over into the Tennessee bullpen is Maddie Moss, the senior pitcher for the Volunteers. They're just one gone in the bottom of the first.
And we're gonna see that a lot off at Tennessee. You know, they throw a pitching staff. They never really always been one to ride just one arm. They want to make sure everyone is always prepared, just in case you get that big hit. Let's bring in someone new.
Amanda Lorenz, maybe the most lethal hitter in the lineup, the senior from Moore Park, California. Looking for the Gators' first hit. Getting ahead in the count, 2-0. So if you're a hitter, I know you love all the hitting mythology going behind it, but what do you do here? Do you sit on this pitch, or are you ready to put one into the outfield?
I mean, you're thinking one pitch and one pitch only, and if it's in that spot, you rip it. You just absolutely explode on it. And I think the mindset for Rogers right now is we're not going to give anything good to Lorenz. We're going to make her try to chase a pitch. If she wants to swing, swing. But if not, let's get first and second and make an easy tag play at 3.
A very patient hitter. Every Florida fan knows how great she is at the plate and her ability to draw walks. And she does right there on 4 pitches. Runners on first and second for the Gators. Thanks to the patience at the plate, and that brings up Kendall Lindemann. Haven't seen a ton of power out of her, but so much excitement when she transferred from Minnesota to Florida. It looks like we're going to have another visit in the circle by Tennessee. And after just 1 out, well, it looked like Ralph Weekly was talking to our umpire as Maddie Moss waits by the Tennessee dugouts. Lindemann, who had 20 home runs each in her freshman and sophomore seasons, and that'll be it. Just one retired batter by Ashley Rogers, the freshman from Athens. They'll open the door for Maddie Moss, the 5'9" senior from Greenville, South Carolina, 4-1 on the season with 3 starts and 3 complete games. And like you said too, when you have veteran pitchers like Moss and Kaylin Arnold, who we may end up seeing tonight as well, they can go the distance if they really want to, but it was more about throwing that curveball, like you said, to maybe confuse the Florida hitters, but clearly a move that didn't work out well.
Well, I mean, if anyone is familiar with Tennessee softball, this is very similar to what they do. They like to pitch as a pitching staff. They will take, Hannah Rogers out, but we might see her, Ashley Rogers, we might see her later again this game. You just never know what the Weekly strategy are. And I think it's a good move in this sense. Maddie Moss, their emotional type of senior leader out there in the circle, you're going to see her get very passionate in the circle. She's one of my favorite players to watch. But more importantly, you're going to see her go east to west. So where you had Ashley Rogers predominantly working up, you're going to have Maddie Moss with her 2-seam, 4-seam fastball working inside corner, the outside corner, and really trying to get ahead.
And look, Tennessee fans know how great Ashley Rogers has been this season, but sometimes you have to turn to that experienced veteran that's been in these situations before. Now with runners on first and second, it's time to lock in and maybe get a ground ball in the infield.
Exactly, especially when you talk about first and second to set up that easy force play at 3.
So Maddie Moss comes in after the freshman Rogers threw 16 pitches, and 10 of them were outside the strike zone. She now faces Kendall Lindemann, the catcher, the designated player tonight. First pitch strike, and like you said, just painting that outside part of the plate to get ahead in the count.
She's just such a great location type of pitcher. She's only given up 2 walks this entire season, so as a pitching staff, she's going to attack the zone.
Compared to 48 strikeouts. That one outside, and that is one of the best strikeout to walk ratios in the country, and that's what we said about Kelly Barnhill in that top of the first. When you face the best part of the Tennessee lineup, you got to get those batters out in a hurry. Two and one to Lindemann with runners on first and second. The Gators, not a lot of power at the plate this year, but the patience has really paid off so many times in games, and that's what really ignites the offense. Ground ball hit up the middle. It goes into center field. Kaylin Hannon with a bullet to home plate, and that keeps the runner at third. And Adams thought she may have had a chance to score there, but that was shut down after a great defensive play made by Hannon.
Well, Kendall Lindman not having to do too much with this pitch on the outside corner. She top halves it, but gets enough topspin on it to kick through the middle, and the bullet from center field, Hannon. If Hannah Adams did run, I think she might have been out on that play. That was just a strong throw from that center fielder, Hannon.
Bases loaded for Florida with 1 out. Jamie Hoover at the plate. 19 hits, 14 RBIs this year, and if you're Florida, you really want to take advantage of this opportunity in the first. One and one.
Especially when you talk about power, we've been saying it, Florida is not really showcasing the power numbers like they normally do. And behind Amanda Lorenz, who leads the team in 6 home runs, you have Jamie Hoover, who's arguably one of their most powerful hitters up to bat right now.
Number 5 hitter looking to bring home the first run for the Gators. Swing and a miss for strike 2. And if we peek over into the bullpen for Tennessee, Ashley Rogers is there warming up, keeping that arm loose, as Maddie Moss has inherited a tough situation with white jerseys all around her. 1-2 smacked foul into the parking lot here at Katie Seashore Presley Stadium as Florida looks to get going early in the first inning, and that's usually the key to success because this team, like we mentioned, 5 runs in 5 games, including being shut out for the first time this season against UCLA. It's important to get those runs across the board when you have the opportunity.
You see that rise ball from Maddie Moss, and it's not a rise ball that produces a lot of swings and misses. She really just throws it just to change that eye level, try to get that hitter to swing and miss through it. But the patience from Hoover being able to even this count up 2-2.
Hoover punched out at the plate, and a big second out for Tennessee and Maddie Moss.
Maddie Moss, of course, goes showcasing that smile that she has, being able to get this strikeout with almost an off-speed pitch, something she does not throw often, but kind of stalls up Hoover back. She did not think it was a strike. Definitely caught that outside corner. That was almost a really great off-speed from Maddie Moss there to surprise Hoover.
2 outs now in the bottom of the first, and the 6th batter in the inning is Jordan Matthews. Sophomore, only 8 RBIs this season. Looking to get the Gators on the board, but still 60 feet away. Swing and a miss, so what do you want to see out of Florida in this at-bat to, again, take advantage of the situation?
I mean, at this point, you haven't really been able to square up Moss, so try to keep it short, try to keep it simple, just like Kendall Lindman did. Just kind of punch something into the infield, put pressure on the defense.
1-1 pitch. Just got a piece of it, but that makes it a 1-2 count. So if you're a hitter in this situation, I'll ask you, young Francesca, what do you expect? And if you're in the dugout, what are you telling those players on base?
Well, right now when we're looking at Matthews and Hoover, they were both not on time with Moss. They're both very early, unable to get their rhythm off of it. So I don't know if it's move up in the box a little bit, start a little bit sooner, but they need to get their timing here.
The 1-2 to Matthews. Well outside. Good job by not chasing a pitch like that to end the inning, and it's now a 2-2 count. Moss looking to get out of a jam here in the first on the road. High for ball 3, and again, Moss has only walked 2 batters this entire season, compared to 48 strikeouts.
I mean, knowing that stat as a batter, I'm thinking pull the trigger, yes, 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 yes.
Payoff pitch on its way. Another pitch with a full count, but Florida doing a good job early raising that pitch count of these Tennessee pitchers.
And that's a big reason why the Weeklies wanted to come in and bring in Moss. Again, they pitch as a pitching staff, trying to make sure everyone is well rested, making sure everyone's ready when their number is called, because they're going to have to use all 3 pitchers in order to shut down this Gator offense.
The 32nd pitch of the bottom of the first inning is ball 4, and Hannah Adams scores to put the Gators up 1-0. Take them any way you can get them, Francesca.
I mean, we talk about this all the time with Florida. They are so good with understanding where their strike zone is at and being able to battle pitch after pitch after pitch. Matthews continued to foul pitches away, couldn't really square anything up, but she was not going to bait into anything Maddie Moss threw. I mean, that's only her 3rd walk of the season.
And now brings up Jordan Roberts for Florida. The catcher looking to extend the lead with the bases loaded. Popped up to center field. Kaylin Hannon waves everybody off. And Tennessee can exhale after only giving up 1 run. We head to the 2nd in just a couple of moments on the SEC Network. After 3 walks surrendered in the bottom of the first inning, Florida takes an early 1-0 lead at home, the first of a 3-game series to open SEC play. Kelly Barnhill back in the circle for Florida that made quick work of the Tennessee Volunteers in the top of the first inning. What's the key now to keep this ball rolling like we've seen so many times in the past for Barnhill?
I mean, Barnhill always has to keep it pitch by pitch. These balls are great hitters. They're going to make adjustments, especially as an offense going up against Barnhill. You know you're going to get your strikeout, so you can't get down on that, but it only takes 1 pitch.
Leadoff batter for Tennessee is Ashley Morgan, the sophomore first baseman, hitting .435 this season. Barnhill only needed 12 pitches in that top of the first frame. Now, Tennessee needed almost 3 times the amount of pitches. Two 2-0 the count, though. Don't see that too often with Barnhill. And it just feels like it could be a bench warmer scenario where you basically just have Barnhill, a catcher, and 1 fielder because she's just so consistent.
I mean, that's how it feels a lot, but then a lot of the times you see what we see now. She shuts down those first 3 batters in the first inning, and then top of second, she's already lost the first batter 3-0. That's almost been Kelly's Achilles heel, is falling behind hitters, giving up those walks when you can't, and then giving up a long ball.
Much needed strike for Barnhill, and the easy case in point you can point to is the UCLA game in Oklahoma City last year. Not to bring up any painful memories for Florida fans, but that was a game where she struck out the first 8 batters, retired the first 9, and then fell apart.
And that's just something that Kelly's constantly working on. It's always something that's been one of her weaknesses, is being able to stay in that game 1 through 7. And that's her just having to feel the confidence of when she sees that rise ball spinning so well, is feeling it every time.
Ball popped up behind home plate. Jordan Roberts called off by the third baseman Hannah Sipos. And after falling behind 3-0, still finds a way to get the leadoff batter out.
And right there is what that confidence is. You fall down 3-0, you come back with getting that strike, and then get the batter to basically get herself out by swinging at that pitch.
And again, I think if you surveyed any coach across America, they're going to take Kelly Barnhill because she's just been that good, along with the Rachel Garcias of the world, and even for Tennessee, who we haven't seen yet, Kaylin Arnold.
I mean, there's a lot of game left to play here. You just never know what can happen.
Mike Bosch, who's taken over a lot of the pitching coach duties in his first season after coming all the way down from Syracuse, working with Kelly extensively.
And it's been cool to see how much Barnhill and how much the rest of the Gators staff has really loved working with Bosch, because he's very different than Coach Rocha. He's very analytical. He approaches everything with a numbers perspective. I think one of my favorite things Coach Walton said was that, he approaches with video pitching and scouting report pitching and setting up a batter pitching and diving into the numbers of, okay, if this batter's taking 2-1, where do you need to throw this pitch? Where do you need to try to get that hitter to miss? And so it's almost been a different thought process for Kelly, and she meshes very well with that because she's very analytical as well.
That's what's funny, too. How do you coach a player like Kelly Barnhill when you just come down in your first season outside of the SEC?
Well, I think that's a big reason why Coach Walton felt strong about bringing in Mike Bosch, is knowing that, heck, the way that he thinks is very similar to how my #1 pitcher thinks. And I think that she's going to thrive underneath him after losing, one of the best pitching coaches in the country in Jen Rocha.
2-2 pitch. Swung on and missed for strike 3, and give Kelly Barnhill her 3rd strikeout already, and has retired all 5 Tennessee batters.
You see Barnhill was just barreling Bearden with all of her rise balls up, but then gets her late with this screwball well off the plate. But because it's so fast, it's hard to keep up with it. You see Bearden's eyes are looking at that pitch in Jordan Roberts' glove. That's how hard that pitch is coming in.
Now up to Allie Shipman to extend the inning. The freshman behind home plate. The sister of former SEC Player of the Year Madison Shipman, trying to continue the legacy left in Knoxville. Shipman gets hit by the pitch and earns her walk to first base, but at least Tennessee has its first base runner of the night in the top of the 2nd with 2 outs. Here comes Gracie Osborne, making just her 9th start this season. This is her 9th straight start. And another freshman in the lineup for Tennessee, a program that was on the precipice of getting to Oklahoma City, just 1 game away, but falling in Athens in Game 3 last year in the Super Regionals.
You're going to see a lot of freshmen for Tennessee. It's a good mix of senior leadership and the youth. And, this youth kind of came in with a high maturity level, so they bring almost this new energy to the team because they're a very highly recruited class.
Almost the same thing that happened in the first inning just happened again. All the Florida fielders thought it was time to go back to the dugout and get ready to hit. Have to wait at least 1 more pitch. They're going to call that a foul ball. It looked like it went off the wrist of Osborne. That's so surprising to see, too, because like you mentioned, there are a couple of times you've seen Kelly Barnhill let 1 or 2 mistakes snowball.
Yeah.
Well, right there, that was just the second time she's hit a batter this entire season. How do you get back on track and get that final out that can be elusive at times?
It's almost just kind of putting it to the side, shelving it, and thinking about what you got to do next. In this situation, it seems like Gracie Auburn commits to the pitch, which is why she gets hit in the forearm. But I mean, she's more than halfway through the zone there.
Another strikeout for Barnhill to end the second, and Kelly has the Gators rolling into the bottom of the second. A picture-perfect night yet again in Gainesville with a nice crowd on hand for the opening game of the SEC slate. Oh, it doesn't get much better than this. A $15 million renovation project, and just the support of all these fans really just taking off after the success of this team over the last 10 years.
I mean, this stadium is just absolutely breathtaking. It is exactly what this team, this program deserved, to have a stadium this beautiful to be played in.
Alex Voss, the leadoff hitter. 8-9-1 hitters due up for the Florida Gators after taking the 1-0 lead on 3 walks in the bottom of the first inning. Maddie Moss, who did not start, back out in the circle for the second. Gets back to a 1-1 count. So you have the coaches at Tennessee, the Weekleys, who have been there for nearly 2 decades. They know what it's like to fall behind early, but like we've talked about in this matchup between Tennessee and Florida, how do you rally your troops now after falling behind?
You know, I almost feel like as the Weekleys, I mean, they have an extensive coaching resume. They've coached all over. They're veterans. So I don't really feel like they would think that they are down. Yes, they are technically down 1 run, but there's still so much left ball game to be played. They haven't even gone through the full lineup a second time. So there's adjustments that are going to be made in the next inning for them.
Ball hit well into left field and going over the chalk. Couldn't make the catch for the Volunteers for the first out. Amanda Ayala with a good effort. That ball sliced just enough to keep Voss alive.
It's exactly what you said. As a left fielder, trying to defend from a lefty hitter is so hard because the ball is spinning away from you. You saw Ayala kind of stutter step, unsure if she needs to come in. And then when she decided that she needs to go right to the wall, she was a little bit too late to lay out and grab it.
Those darn lefties, they can never do anything you want them to do correctly.
Spoken from a true lefty.
Yeah, well, I plead the fifth. Full count to the first batter for Florida in the bottom of the second. Alex Voss looking to get the 4th walk all season on Maddie Moss. Moss needs just a second to get ready for the payoff pitch here, and another really important pitch in the start of the bottom of the second. Voss hits it well to right field, backing up and at the warning track. A good catch made, nearly dropped by Haley Bearden. Boy, if you had a little bit more wind on a night here in Gainesville, that one would be over the fence. And again, for Florida, that's something you at least like to see, is hitting the ball out to the warning track.
I mean, off the bat, you think this ball is going to be a no-doubter home run. But as you saw with Voss's swing, she was kind of out in front of it, unable to really get her hips behind it to send it as a home run. And of course, Maddie Moss is going to be pumped up from that catch from her fielder Bearden out there. Great
effort on the warning track to earn that first out. And the first pitch to Hannah Sipos. And it's dropped in fair territory. It travels over to the Tennessee dugouts. And it was a rare mistake made by Aubrey Leach, maybe calling off Ashley Morgan, and that's just a rare mistake made by the senior, but on second glance, Francesca, looks like they're going to call it foul.
Well, it almost looked like in live play, we can see another replay here. She makes the catch in fair territory, but then carries it over to the foul territory where it falls out of her glove. We take another look here.
Well, our first base umpire, Steve Goulds, didn't throw his hands up and say it was foul, and it was only until Sipos reached second that they called her back.
I don't think he was able to see it. I think the collision between
It was right there.
Morgan and Leach, but he didn't make a call right away. It was the home plate umpire that made that call. So he kind of put his hands down, leaving it up to the home plate umpire to make the decision for him.
Sipos now waiting for the next pitch. So is Tom Meyer, that also has a decent view down the line. And like you said, if you're right there and you see a couple of bodies converging right there at the chalk, sometimes not a lot you can do, even if you are just inches away.
Especially if you're not trying to even get hit by them.
Ground ball hit to short. Picked up, and a nice throw made to get the second out of the inning by Gracie Osborne. And sometimes those routine plays can be those toughest ones to make, but a good response for Tennessee in this bottom half of the second to retire those first two batters.
You know, and that's one thing the Weekly said, is that we can't be giving up opportunities to the team. We can't be giving away opportunities, and that could have been a dangerous opportunity to give up the leadoff batter starting at second base, but a great response from the Vols.
Adams, the lefty, swings and misses at the first pitch. Scored the only run of the game so far. I know it's early, but drew her 11th walk, and that's certainly why she's at the top of the lineup, because last year as a freshman drew 40 walks to rank third among freshmen in that category.
You know, it's interesting, you see the corners playing in up against Adams, because she can drop a bunt down, she can slap, but you know, you've been seeing her go to the swing away a little bit more. So hard to set yourself up in a defensive position when a batter has just so many tools.
Has a couple of home runs on the season too.
That would be my scariest thing playing first base, is if you have a lefty that can do all three, about having to play, you know, middle, because what if she just rips it down?
That hot corner suddenly becomes you.
Yeah, that's a scary close view. So I always give mad props to those first basemen.
2-1 pitch. Make it 3-1, so I wouldn't say we're seeing Maddie Moss struggle. That would be far off, but normally this is a player that throws strikes relentlessly, but is it just the Florida lineup that makes you a little bit more cautious?
I think so, 100%. I mean, Moss should know coming into this that she's going to give up some walks, and she should give up some walks occasionally. You can't be dancing the ball around the plate against Florida, because they can crush it. Because at the same time, though, they understand their zone, and they're going to take their walks just like Hannah Adams did.
Oh, in both her plate appearances tonight, Hannah Adams heads over to first base on a walk, and that brings up Sophia Reynoso. A little bit surprising to see her at the second spot in the lineup, because she's normally towards the bottom half.
But at the same time, that's why Adams is in that leadoff spot, because she knows how to get on base. And Reynoso, yes, she's a good contact hitter, but she can also put a bunt down very well for this team and get Adams in scoring position.
Ground ball hits a third. It's scooped up by Kaylee Phillips and retires Reynoso for the final out of the second. We head to the third in just a couple of moments as the Vols look to climb back from the one-run. We head to the third inning in Gainesville. Florida holding on to a one-run lead. Tennessee finally calming down, letting the game come to them in that second inning, and only need 4 batters to get out of that bottom half, and now going to the top of the third. Look, this is a Tennessee offense that really found its rhythm in Fullerton just a week ago. 31 runs in just 3 games, and now a big asterisk goes up for the fact that 2 big ranked games canceled. One against Michigan, another one against Oregon. But still, you have to feel very confident about how you're playing going into SEC play based on the numbers Tennessee's put up.
And we can't forget that, you know, Tennessee went and played in that Clearwater tournament where they faced a lot of tough teams. 2 of their losses are from FSU, who's ranked number 1, JMU, who's continuing to climb up the ranks with Megan Good in the circle. So they've faced a real tough competition already early on in the season. And now you just kind of have to get into the gauntlet of the SEC.
Kaylin Hannon leading off the third for Tennessee. Infield pinched in, bunt popped up back into the nets. So 1-2 count for Hannon. Again, another one of those 400-plus hitters. She's at 429 this year. Looking to get a little bit more experience making just her third start. One-two pitch. Swing and a miss for strike three again, and Kelly Barnhill is simply on a roll in the SEC opener.
You know, Barnhill's feeling good when she's able to get strikeouts on all three of her rise balls. She likes to throw one a little bit lower, one that's mid, and one that's pretty high. And that's just one of those rise balls that breaks so late that when you think you're on plane, all of a sudden it jumps up and it's in the catcher's mitt.
So if you could do math, I know sometimes the best of us can struggle, but that's 5 already as we have the first out in the third inning.
That's why I highlight all my strikeouts in my book, so it just calls out to me because I can't do math.
Yeah, if I just write it down, I'm going to get it lost.
Know your strengths.
Another lefty at the plate, Caitlin Parsons. Number 9 hitter. Makes contact, but it goes closer to the Florida dugout than it is in the field of play. Now, we were talking about that pregame, too, just how scary Kelly Barnhill can be because of how great she was last year, SEC Pitcher of the Year, one of the most decorated players in Florida, and maybe by the end of her career, any pitcher in the NCAA. In a good spot in an 0-2 counts.
You know, at the same time, though, Barnhill is a competitor, and she has all of the individual statistics. When you ask her what is going to be the most important thing, her legacy when she leaves, is she wants to win a national championship.
Really nice start for her. 6 of the 9 batters she's faced, she's gotten into a 1-2 count and gets another strikeout there. Kelly Barnhill, don't make her mad because she will just shut you down in an instant. And this comes from her saying she feels like a bit of an underdog, which seems just preposterous to say because of how great she's been throughout her career. But once she was left off the 2019 Team USA, and even just the fact she's feeling like she's a little overlooked heading into this season, she's coming out with a little bit more of a vengeance. And for a player that's a little more bubbly and quirky and happy to be around, I mean, she has just been locked in this season.
You know, after she didn't make that Team USA roster, she said something that really stuck with me, and that was that she has the mindset that no one is going to outwork her right now. She's going to do everything possible to reprove why she is who she is. And I don't think it is to prove to the country or a team, but to herself, who Kelly Barnhill is as a pitcher.
Everybody loves an underdog story. Rocky?
I'm sure if you're Tennessee, you're thinking, you're not an underdog, dude. You're legit.
Well, Rocky Top a little frustrated right now. 2 outs in the top of the third. The best batting average in the SEC, and also one of the top in runs scored per game at 8 this season. That's the 4th in the NCAA. It's just absolutely incredible the rate that they've scored this year. Bats have been silent. A 3-0 count. Barnhill delivers a much-needed strike. Looking to keep off a base runner with 2 outs after in the second inning she hit a batter in this same spot. That's ball 4, so the first walk issued, by Barnhill as a runner aboard first with 2 outs on the top of the third. Even last year against Tennessee, Francesca, a great line all the way across. Just gave up 5 hits and 2 runs in a 10-2 win. So the bat showed up for Florida that day too. But really, when you put Barnhill in the circle, you about have a good a chance as anyone else in the country to win a game.
But at the same time, we have to remember this is really a different team with Tennessee. They're a high-energy team. They have a lot of passion, and they're only down 1 run. And that's what it takes to try to hit off Kelly. You know you're going to strike out, but you just need that big, timely hit.
Amanda Ayala, the left fielder.
You know, especially when you have this 1-2 punch here. You have Leach that's able to draw that walk, You know, she leads this team in stolen bases, so she's going to look to try to kind of bait a throw down there. And then you have Amanda Ayala, who is arguably one of the most powerful athletes in this lineup.
It's a little bit too much underneath it to make it 1-2. 2 outs. Aubrey Leach on first after drawing the walk. Tennessee looking for a little 2-out rally here in the top of the third. Looking to win its first game in Gainesville in 6 years tonight. And it is a strikeout. Took a little while to get confirmation, but Kelly does it once again. And we head to the bottom of the third as Florida looks to extend the 1-run lead. Still looking for the first hit tonight, but it's Florida doing a good job of getting in front, leading 1-0 at home in the SEC opener. And for a team that traveled so much in February, 10,000 miles, going to Tempe and coming back, going down to Clearwater, even taking a trip just about a couple of hours away to Jacksonville, and then flying all the way across the country again to Fullerton. Like you said in the first inning, it's nice to settle down, get back to basics throughout this week. And that's what's funny too. When we talked to team reps, they were saying that they weren't even focusing on Tennessee in the first part of the week. They were just trying to get back to what they did well. And Maddie Moss starts the inning with a strike.
You know, a big thing with that too is that they focused so much on defense this past week, trying to almost retrain the fundamentals and almost focusing on as well making those special plays look routine, because they had a lot of moments in Fullerton that got away from them. Moments that they should have been able to come up and get an out and try to help their team out, but instead they kind of gave up a run to UCLA one of those times in that game.
Amanda Lorenz, the most feared hitter in the Gators lineup, at the plate with a 1-1 count. Even that game against Washington needed 8 innings to take home a 1-0 win.
You know, and it's funny when you say that, because at the same time, you know, UCLA, their pitching staff with Garcia and their freshmen, I mean, they're good. Like, they're not going to give up very many runs. Same thing with Washington. They are a good pitching staff, so you wouldn't expect a big blowout. But because you know the Gators' offense, you want to see more runs up there. You expect more runs.
Lorenz smacks it foul. And again, it just seems like it was a litmus test for a month into the season. You still got a long way to go with this just being the first game of SEC play. But you want to see, okay, these teams were in Oklahoma City a year ago. How do we stack up with them with our new group and our new lineup, and how they've changed and how we've changed?
I mean, the good thing is no one wins a national championship in February. It all takes place in June, so there's a lot of room to grow.
Lorenz hits it into shallow left field, and the Gators have a hit with its leadoff batter. And leader Amanda Lorenz.
And this is why Amanda is so good. This is a changeup. Her hips shift forward, but she keeps her hands back long enough to be able to poke a lazy line drive in where there's no one covering. You see her hips completely shifted forward, but because her hands stay back, she is able to get on plane and hit that ball hard for a single. She's just so good.
A little Oppo taco there, too, in between the shortstop and third baseman. So lefty aboard on first, brings up Kendall Lindemann. Good first pitch strike for Maddie Moss. And about as brutal an inning to start if you're Tennessee, facing Lorenz to lead off and then Lindemann right behind her.
And that's a big reason why Coach Walton wanted to get Lindemann on this roster, so she has someone to hit behind Amanda Lorenz.
0-1 pitch. High for ball one. It was so funny. I saw this earlier today, but when she was playing at Minnesota as a freshman in the regionals, Amanda Lorenz remembers seeing her on TV, and when they showed the pop-up stat of that she had 60 home runs and 20 home runs. That's an incredible stat. 20 home runs, 60 RBIs, She still leaped up and said, "Are you kidding me? How can you do that as a freshman?" But she's certainly shown that, and we were even saying, too, before the game, okay, she had an injury in the fall, and how does that affect her going into the season, maybe 5-6 months after that injury? But you were saying that Coach Weekly still doesn't think she's at 100%.
No, not at all. Coach Walton thinks that she still has a lot more room to grow because she had to recover from that injury. So we're really only seeing, 60% of Kendall Lindemann.
1-2 pitch, another one, golf foul.
And I think one of the best things he could say about her is that she still has so much more to learn, but because she was injured, because she transferred over, he just sees so much untapped talent in her. And we talk about untapped talent, but you're still batting 4th for Florida Gators, so she's going to be able to come up big, not just with the power, but a lot of good contact as well.
1-2 pitch, foul back again, and we saw Coach Walton, just looking on but trying to coach up these players, because it's not always easy to insert a player that, the numbers are great. You saw what she did at Minnesota, but it's so hard to translate that and then get comfortable in a completely different lineup.
Well, Lindemann prides herself as being a hard at bat, trying to fight pitches, take deeper pitches deep in the count, and that's what she's doing right now against Maddie Moss.
1-2 again. Another foul ball, but fighting to stay alive in the batter's box as she checks down over towards her dugout. And again, that's the thing that we talked about in the first inning, which Tennessee needed 34 pitches to get out of. You just work through a count. I'm sure you know from personal experience, you're bound to get that one pitch that when you see it, you're going to crush it.
Well, I think in this situation, too, Moss needs to try to throw something to get the chase, to get the bait, change the eye level up a little bit, maybe throw the changeup.
Ground ball hit to short. Gracie Osborne gets one. The second throw too late from Aubrey Leach. Still, good first out to the inning, and Tennessee, as long as you can keep those runners for Florida out of scoring position, you still have a good chance to get out of an inning unharmed. I only say that because Florida has struggled hitting with power this year, but the way they have that patience at the plate, the way that they can move runners up with that small ball mentality still makes them just as potent. Jamie Hoover at the plate. Watch a strike one go by. Hoover, who had just one hit in her Fullerton trip to the Judy Garman Classic. Hits this one towards the Tennessee dugout, but while she struggled in that tournament, she's had 3 straight multi-hit games at home, and certainly, like we've talked about with this entire Florida team, it's good to get back at home and just get used to the field you've been playing on for the last month. Moss is 0-2. Big strikeout for the second out of the bottom of the 3rd inning. And that brings up, we take a look at that strikeout from Moss.
And that's almost like her 2-seam fastball that's just falling off the table there, way off the plate, and then in that last moment, drops down.
It brings up Jordan Matthews with 2 outs now. Strike one. Moss has really settled in. She did not start the game. She came in after just 1 out in the bottom of the 1st. And now she's had a first pitch strike to her last 7 hitters.
Well, what's interesting, too, is that when you look at the scouting report for Moss, she doesn't throw that changeup very often, but we're seeing her showcase it at least once in every at-bat or batter that she's faced.
Your mistake there. Jordan Matthews a little early on that swing, and it's quickly an 0-2 count. After a single to open the inning, Tennessee once again is settled in, looking to keep this a 1-run ball game to end the 3rd. Miles couldn't get Matthews to chase. Just Kendall Lindemann on first right now for Florida. Tennessee still right in this ball game after a tough start. 1-2 pitch.
off the plate again. So for Tennessee, this is really a confidence boost for them, or at least another chance to see where they're at in the early days of March before you really get into SEC play, where, heck, even Coach Weekly was saying that every weekend's going to feel like a super regional just based on how many ranked teams there are. 2-2. Ball hit well to center field, but Kaylin Hannon doesn't have to move much. And she gets the third out of the inning as once again Moss works through the Gators lineup and gets another 0 on the board as Tennessee looks to tie it up when we come back. The NCAA's leader in strikeouts this season, doing exactly what she does. Kelly Barnhill already working right through this Tennessee lineup.
Well, you can tell Barnhill is in the group because of her rise ball, her low rise ball. She's been able to get a lot of strikeouts with that late break with the jump, coming in so hard with her screwball, getting the late strikeouts or the late swings with those strikeouts.
7 strikeouts through 3 innings, and that's just nothing that should surprise you at this point in her career because she's done it so many times against quality opponents.
I mean, we say it time and time again. If you are the opponent facing Barnhill, it's trying to make that adjustment middle on in the game, looking at what her rise ball is doing. What's the speed of it? What's the adjustment I need to make? Maybe it's something drastic as get in front of the box and try to get a swing early and try to get ahead of it, try to get on top of it. But something has to happen in order to get on base with Kelly. You just can't keep doing the same thing over and over again.
2-1 on the count to the leadoff batter for Tennessee. Kaylee Phillips, who had a great Judy Garment Classic, because in her 3 games she hit 4 home runs, and replacing a big void left in the lineup, because right now Tennessee looking to replace Chelsea Seger, third baseman, who about as crucial a part to the lineup as any.
Tennessee's always been known offensively for their small ball, putting pressure on the defense, slapping the ball. But the Weeklies had said, in the offseason, we focused a ton on using our legs, using our hips, and increasing the power because we have a lot.
Ball hit well down the left field line, but it curves foul over the fence. Still some chance and some energy coming out of the Tennessee dugout as finally one of the hitters gets a good piece of a pitch.
And that's something to celebrate. When you haven't had that much success, you have to get big on the little things to try to fuel your lineup, get something working in the dugout. And this is a very passionate program, so they're trying to do everything possible.
Phillips hits it well to left center field, at the wall, and it is gone! Her 7th home run, the fabulous freshman, Kaylee Phillips, does it again.
Now, Phillips has just been crushing the ball as of late. She had the 4 home runs last week at Fullerton, and she takes this pitch that is on the outside part of the plate. It is out of the zone, and you see her laser dart eyes on that pitch, able to keep her hands back and explode with that lower half.
7 of her 10 hits this year have been home runs. That is unprecedented.
And that wasn't a bad pitch from Kelly. That was off the plate, slightly elevated, moving away from Phillips. And be able to crush that and to pull it, her eyes and her hands are working well.
Ashley Morgan nearly hits us in the press box. Not her first pitch, but I love what you said before that pitch that she hit the home run off of. You just make that contact and you get that confidence that, oh my gosh, she's human.
And that's something people forget about Barnhill is that, she's going to be high strikeout, but she gives up those home runs. She gives up those walks. And those are the learning, the mistakes that Kelly keeps trying to learn from, is not giving up that big long ball.
First hit of the game for Tennessee comes in the top of the 4th, and Kaylee Phillips delivers. Solo shot has us tied up at 1. Another 1-2 count for Barnhill. Ashley Morgan stands in, falling behind on the count. Go down the line and say she did not go through with her swing, so 2-2.
Tennessee still in this game after a disaster of a first inning. Check swing goes foul. Three walks in the bottom of the first inning in Florida. That's what we were saying too. You got to take advantage of that situation because now Maddie Moss has settled in and Tennessee starting to get a little bit more comfortable. And after a home run, hard shot hit to short. And a nice defensive play made by Sofia Reynoso.
And that's a big out for Florida. That ball was hit very hard, right on the nose to Sofia, but she is one of the best out there at shortstop position, just a vacuum. She made it look very easy.
One gone on the fourth, and Haley Bearden at the plate. Stepping up, looking to ignite a Tennessee run. That ball drilled into the night, but well fouled down the right field line. And for Tennessee, we talk about where this program is and the boogeyman in Florida over these past several years. Last time they won a series in Gainesville was all the way back in 2007.
That was when I was playing, so I was on that team.
Not to add insult to injury, but right around the same time, the Florida men's basketball team won the SEC tournament in Atlanta before rolling right through the NCAA tournament again and winning the NCAA championship in the Georgia Dome. 1-2 the count real quick. Do you know what the #1 song at the time was the last time Tennessee beat Florida in a series here?
I do not.
This Is Why I'm Hot. I'm sure you had some dance-offs in the locker room, right?
It seems like ages ago, forever ago.
It's definitely got to be on Coach Weekly's iPad.
Oh, I'm sure. I mean, he's a veteran coach. I'm sure he has had to listen to some interesting playlists in his days.
How about this last one? The iPhone wasn't even released yet. Next pitch just inside. And count goes full with one out in the top of the fourth. So Tennessee, after 7 strikeouts in the first 3 innings, looking to get a base runner with one out in the fourth.
You know, we talked earlier in this inning about, what's the adjustment Tennessee's going to make? What are they going to do to try to get to Barnhill? And one thing that they're doing is they're taking a lot of free swings. They're taking the guesswork out of what Kelly is going to throw and just kind of see it, swing it. And if you see it, commit to it. And they're being able to make contact and get some barreled balls.
Payoff pitch. Hit into right field, and the second hit of the inning for the Vols. And the team that has the highest batting average in the conference starting to come alive against Kelly Barnhill. I think this is something to ask too, because now that this lineup is cycling through for the second time and you're getting these hitters a chance to learn from that first at bat, how much do you have to change as a pitcher?
You got to change a lot, whether it's going to be your location of where you're throwing or maybe just your mindset. I think that was a really great move from the senior shortstop Reynoso to call timeout, gather up her team, and really tell Kelly, relax, breathe. Remember your goal, remember your game. Maybe remember how you got those strikeouts. They're barreling a lot of balls up with her screwball and her two-seam, so maybe try to get ahead with that low rise ball again.
Again, Reynoso, the shortstop, a player that started every single game a year ago and every single game this year. Short. Ball hit well to left field, backing up, and that one is gone again. 2 home runs in the inning for the Volunteers, and they take their first lead 3-1 over the Gators.
We said that they were doing a lot of free swinging, and Allie Shipman follows right up, takes the first pitch. This ball is kind of middle out and absolutely crushes it. She's completely on time with this ball. I mean, this was a no-doubter from the bat. And they just have such great timing off of Kelly right now.
Give her 9 RBIs in her last 4 games. I mean, she's just been on a tear lately. And wow, what a turnaround in this 4th inning. Now if you're Florida and you're pitching coach Mike Bosch in the circle right now, what are you telling that team to just ease some of those nerves?
I think you just need to slow down, keep balls away from the zone right now. They're swinging at a lot of first pitches. They're swinging at everything that's in the zone. You got to try to get out of the zone right now if you're Barnhill, and that's what she does well by trying to produce those swings and misses.
First time through the order, Kelly Barnhill held Tennessee to 0 for 8, 6 strikeouts and 1 hit by pitch. First pitch of the at-bat to Gracie Osborne. It's ball 1, but the second time around, sorry, Francesca, just they're 3 for 5 with 2 home runs, a single, a walk, and just 1 strikeout.
I mean, they're one of the best offensive teams in the country for a reason. You know, they saw Kelly, they made their adjustments, and the adjustments they worked, they were right. And you kind of felt that momentum shift when Kaylee Phillips was up and she roped that foul ball. You heard the Tennessee dugout just elevate their energy level, and you were feeling that something big was going to happen.
Hard ball hit through the infield and into center. Tennessee starting to flex a little bit in the top of the 4th inning. Gracie Osborne on first after the single, and that brings up Kaylin Hannon, the number 8 hitter.
This is just when Barnhill gets herself into trouble so often. She's cruising, she's cruising, she's cruising, and then she gives up that big hit, and then another big hit, then a little single here.
And nobody is getting warmed up in the Florida bullpen. And again, it's Kelly Barnhill. You're going to ride that hand for as long as it's going to take you. But I was going to ask you about these stoppages now, because it's the 3rd time in the inning that the Gators have called time and talked in the circle. Does that also get in the mindset of a pitcher who's struggling?
I don't think so, especially in that situation. You know, it was Ralph Weekly who was calling the timeout. And sometimes as a pitcher, when the offense has a lot of momentum, you want to try to slow the game down and not just get into pitch groove.
First pitch drilled to right field at the wall, and that is out of here. The 3rd home run of the inning from the Volunteers, and Caitlin Parsons has blown this one open in the 4th.
I mean, there's just nothing to say but wow. Tennessee offense being able to make those adjustments against Kelly Barnhill, all of those strikeouts, and you see this pitch is just kind of pitched right down the middle. An easy pitch to try to get behind and send right center field. With the velocity that Kelly can throw, sometimes you just have to barrel it up, and that is exactly what Hannon did there.
So Kaylin Hannon, check that, hits the home run. It's Caitlin Parsons at the plate. And just everything is unraveled for the Gators in this top half of the 4th inning. And into the bullpen now for Florida. It's going to be Katie Chronister. 5 runs, 3 home runs in the top of the 4th. And just after a near flawless start, again, you could compare it to that UCLA game in Oklahoma City, because it was 8 strikeouts in those first 3 innings, and then you end up losing 6-5.
And that's just something that Barnhill has always had to try to get over that hump, trying to get into that groove where she can go all 7. But when you're facing a good team like Tennessee, they're going to make their adjustments, and you need to adjust with them.
Danny Farley also warming up in the bullpen as well. Florida had the bases loaded in the bottom of the 1st, but couldn't take advantage, only scoring just 1 run. Parsons with the 1-2. Big strikeout for Barnhill, but that's just the 2nd out in what has been a long 4th inning.
Especially you get the 9-hole Parsons out and you got to face leadoff hitter Aubrey Leach when your confidence is already a bit shaken for this inning.
Top of the order up again. Third plate appearance for Aubrey Leach. Looking to get back on base and extend the inning. As Barnhill about to throw her 29th pitch of the inning. Ball hit to shallow left. Reynoso makes the nice catch and ends the 4th inning. But the Tennessee Volunteers, 3 home runs to take a 5-1 advantage. First it was the leadoff hitter Kaylee Phillips, and Kaylin Hannon finished it up as it's a 5-1 game. 3 home runs in the top half of the 4th inning by the Tennessee Volunteers. Helps them take a 5-1 lead. We were waiting for those bats to wake up, and after, again, 7 strikeouts in those first 3 innings, Kelly Barnhill letting a couple of mistakes get to her, and Tennessee give them their credit because they've taken advantage of those opportunities.
And now if you're Maddie Moss, you get to pitch with a 4-run lead. You were already confident getting these Gator batters out, and now you can feel even better.
7, 8, 9 hitters due up for Florida in this 4th inning. Jordan Roberts at the plate to lead things off. One-on-one the count. So after watching that half of an inning, if you're Florida, like we talked about Tennessee at times tonight, how do you regroup and reset going into, the 4th inning?
Well, it's kind of hard not to feel like you just got punched in the stomach. So much of the momentum is on the Tennessee side right now. But if you're Florida, you have to put it behind you, and you still need to score more runs. From an offensive standpoint, they still haven't been able to figure out Maddie Moss. It's their time to make these adjustments, whether it is to swing early because Maddie Moss is attacking the zone earlier, or, maybe sit on that changeup because she's throwing it more often. Maybe split the plate in half, but something has to happen to try to get to Moss.
2-1 count. Inside for ball 3, and again, that's the type of pitcher Moss is. She's not going to throw a lot of balls to you. She's just going to attack the strike zone, like you said. So how does that approach change for Florida, or you just stick with the bread and butter you've had all season?
I think it's a mixture of both. I think, when you're early in the count, you look for something good. She's going to try to attack the zone. It's going to be in, it's going to be out. So find out the pitch or the zone that sets you up for success. But of course, when you have 2 strikes, you have to just fight and battle.
Payoff to the leadoff hitter, Roberts. Ball 4. 3rd walk of the game from Maddie Moss. She only had 2 the entire season coming into tonight.
That's a big at-bat for Roberts, being able to be that lead-off walk, and that was a close pitch. If I'm Maddie Moss, I want that call to strike.
Pinch runner coming in for the Gators. Amanda Bean, the freshman. On the bag is stepping up to the plate is Alex Voss. Coach Walton and his Gators looking to spark a rally now, trailing by 4 after 3 home runs in the top half. Should you expect to see a little bit of small ball right here, trying to advance that runner to second?
I wouldn't be surprised, especially with Voss, who is a hitter that can put a bunt down, put pressure with her slap. But again, she almost hit a home run out of here in her last at-bat.
First pitch to Voss, low. So you have Bean, the pinch runner, in at first base. Voss now at 60 pitches. And Karen Weekly going to the circle as Tennessee regroups there. And you do have Ashley Rogers warming up. Like you said, it's been a by-committee thing for Tennessee, and you don't always know what to expect, especially in game one of a series. Are you surprised we haven't seen anything out of Kaylin Arnold, or is that maybe just the arm you're saving for a Saturday?
I think that's the arm you're saving for Saturday. Probably the same reason why we haven't seen Natalie Lugo warm up in the bullpen is because that's who Florida's #2 pitcher is, and that's who they want to be starting the game tomorrow afternoon. Same thing with Arnold. But right now, Maddie Moss, she's bringing something extra into the circle. She's bringing that it factor that you never really, as a coach, want to pull her out because she's so zoned in.
Voss not looking to lay a bunt down the third base line there. Takes the strike.
You know, Coach Walton likes to do that a lot. Like, hey, you got one pitch, one strike to try to hit something big, and then maybe now he might want to play some small ball. But like we said, Voss has been showcasing a lot of power this season.
Voss smacks it foul. It's 1-2. You can see those first and third basemen for Tennessee creeping in, just prepared. But as you've said too, Voss can hit it over their heads and get a couple of bases out of it.
She's been able to get inside the park home run, a triple, because, you know, the outfield will play pretty much in.
Ball put in play. Moss fields it and gets the easy out at first. Don't want to chance anything, but still, mission accomplished. If you're Florida, you now have Bean in scoring position.
I mean, that just works just as well as a bunt, but great job for Maddie Moss in the circle fielding that ball. That might have looked routine, but it is very hard for a pitcher to try to gather herself after throwing that pitch and get herself to the right to try to get that out. So showing some athleticism from Moss out there.
Hannah Sipos, the #9 hitter. Watches strike one go by, only hitting a $140 on the season. But boy, could a hit do wonders here for the Florida Gators.
Sipos really in the lineup for her glove out there at third base. She's just a defensive gem.
Gators only have 2 hits tonight. Ball popped up into shallow left, and that is taken care of by Gracie Osborne for the second out. Brings up Hannah Adams. Scored the only run for Florida in the bottom of the first inning. Looking to keep this stretch alive. And that's what we talked about with the Florida lineup. Where do you put Amanda Lorenz? Do you keep her at that 3 spot? Do you lead her off? It's just such a chess match and where you want to put your best hitter. Ground ball hit to third, picked up and thrown over to first by Kaylee Phillips. Did it in the top half with her bat and finishes the bottom half with a nice put out. And Tennessee takes a 4-run lead to the 5th. New pitcher into the game for Florida, Danny Farley, the freshman, into the circle after a 5-run 4th inning by Tennessee. A big sigh of relief on the other dugout. Kelly Barnhill out. And in steps a freshman, and who in her last game, Francesca, she gave up 5 hits and 3 runs to UCLA. That's nothing to ever be embarrassed about. But how do you bounce back after the last time you were out in the circle? You had a tough outing.
Well, I like the idea of bringing in Farley because she works predominantly east and west. She throws pretty firm around 66, 67, but she's going to keep the ball low with her curveball, her backdoor, and her screw. So out of all those home runs Tennessee just gave up, you see Florida trying to keep things ground balls, keep it in the park, and let their defense work.
First pitch of the inning is a strike, so good for Farley to get off ahead.
I think one thing we've been seeing from Farley early on in the season, and it's pretty typical with freshmen, is that they leave a little bit too many pitches over the middle of the plate. And once you get to this level, you can't do that. You got to miss off the plate. And that's just something Farley has to continue to learn and grow with.
Amanda Ayala in a 1-1 count. #2 hitter for the Vols in the top of the 5th inning. Team that averages 8 runs, good enough to be 4th in the country this season. Show you what they can do in just a couple of batters in that last inning. Ball hit over the head of the second baseman for Florida, Hannah Adams. Goes into right field, and it's a leadoff single for the Vols and Amanda Ayala.
And that's tough as a freshman who's, your job right now is to come in and try to silence the offense from that big inning. But Ayala not really getting much of that ball, but just enough to get the barrel to poke it in for that single.
And here comes Kaylee Phillips, who led off the 4th inning with a solo shot. Takes a ball to start off the at-bat, and again, 7 home runs in 10 hits. And give her 5 home runs in her last 4 games, really coming alive, and that's huge to see out of a freshman if you're a Vols fan.
I mean, she's seeing the ball extremely well with offensive numbers like that. The ball probably looks like a beach ball to her.
Big thing, too, is taking over third base in the absence of Chelsea Segern. One of the key pieces of this Tennessee team if it wants to get to Oklahoma City for the first time in 4 years this season. Ball smacked hard deep to dead center, and it is another home run for Kaylee Phillips. Are you kidding me? That one's still going.
I mean, Kaylee Phillips, she is the hottest hitter at this ballpark right now. That ball is seriously crushed right in between dead center palm trees. I think she was even a little bit early on that pitch. Just completely gets her hands extended on it. Doesn't even have to do too much because she is locked in. She is extremely connected in her swing right now.
Unbelievable. 6-1 the lead. 7-1, excuse me, after the leadoff single. And Tennessee, after that slow start, taking a 6-run lead on the road in Gainesville. They'll be taking their frustrations out on the very field they've struggled with so many times. And a Florida team they've lost 7 of the last 8 against, including the SEC tournament semifinals a year ago.
And when you think about it, the home runs that Kaylee Phillips hit, the one against Barnhill in the last inning, this one right now against Farley, those were good pitches. Those were not balls that were left out over the middle of the plate. That is just some good, strong hitting from these balls right now. We said at the beginning of the game, will they be able to carry that momentum over from Fullerton? And they sure have.
Swinging strike for Ashley Morgan. 2-1 the count with still 0 outs in the top of the 5th inning. Farley looking to settle down here. Morgan just nips it, so 2-strike count after falling behind. And again, for a freshman, we talked about it with Tennessee to start the game. Well, now you throw in Danny Farley, her first SEC game, and it doesn't go off according to plan. How do you just calm her down and let her get back to work?
I think for Farley, it's going to come with experience. She needs to get some outs. She needs to get some big strikeouts underneath her belt to feel good.
Morgan gets hit by the pitch and will head over to first.
It almost seemed like in the beginning of this season, Coach Walton wasn't sure who that number 2 pitcher was going to be. He was kind of tossing it up between Farley and Natalie Lugo. And so Farley got a couple big starts for them, but kind of showing a little bit too freshman-esque mistakes that she would make. But again, this is still very early on in the season, very early on in SEC play. So you want to put this type of pressure amongst your freshmen so they can learn and produce later on down the road when you need them.
Ground ball hit foul. Haley Bearden, the lefty. Looking to continue the trend for the Volunteers. One of 5 SEC teams in the top 10 this week. Swing and a miss for strike 2, and 9 teams ranked in the top 20. Arguably the best conference in America right now. And like we've talked about before, you are not going to have a single weekend off for the rest of the season. Farley's 0-2. Strike 3 and a big first down at the top of the 5th. As Bearden goes down on just 3 pitches, and that brings up Allie Shipman, who homered in her last at-bat.
Now this is Farley's best pitch that she has. It's a mixture, she likes to call it, between a backdoor curve, a screwball. She's not quite sure what it's happening with it, but that is one of her best pitches that she can get strikes on and get the swings and misses. If she can continue to improve on that pitch and work on it, then that confidence for her is going to get up, and she won't make as many mistakes over the middle.
Ground ball hit foul down the third base side. And again, Tennessee starting 0 for 8 with 6 strikeouts. Now over its last 12 at-bats, 7 for 12 with 4 home runs. Just incredible. Oh, 2 pitch. Ball hit and Adams can't get to it in time. Runner holds up at second for the Volunteers. Morgan on second and Shipman on first after her second hit in as many innings.
Well, you just see another hit that Tennessee's able to get. Not hit very hard, but able to stay on plane enough for the ball to find some eyes out there. So when they're not hitting the long ball, they're still doing well enough to be able to square it up.
Gracie Osborne lines it down the left field line, foul. Seven to 1 in the top of the 5th. And ball 1 as Danny Farley has come in to start the inning. Against a freshman, like you said, you're just going to have to go through it. Baptism by fire in your first SEC game and learn from some mistakes. Florida, the team that has won 4 consecutive SEC regular season titles, predicted to win a 5th consecutive title, but running into a tough stretch here in the SEC opener. Strike 2 called. Farley looking for her second strikeout of the inning. Ground ball hit to short. And the force out at third brings the second out of the inning. Nice play by Reynoso that can sometimes go awry if your third baseman isn't paying attention.
Well, we haven't really been able to see too much defense from both sides of the team. One, because Florida hasn't been putting too much into play, and then 2, when Tennessee is putting it into play, they're crushed home runs. But we can't forget that, Florida, second best defense in the country.
A wild pitch sets up runners at second and third. Farley takes a second to talk things over with her catcher, Jordan Roberts. And good to see how the 4th-year player, Sophia Reynoso, just calming down that freshman and a nice veteran move.
And she's the captain out there on the field. She does it very vocally, trying to make sure that she has all of her teammates underneath her and relaxed. But again, we're saying Florida, second best defense in the country. Tennessee is number 1. So we haven't seen too many great plays from each one yet, but there are going to be some gems this entire weekend.
Kaylin Hannon tips the 1-1 pitch, so 1-2. Homered last time around, looking to add to the lead for Tennessee. Volunteers looking for their first win here in 6 years. 1-2. Farley looking to get out of a jam after the wild pitch to start the at-bat. Ball smacked past the first baseline. 1 run is in, 2 are in after it was cut off by Jordan Matthews. And a big 2-run single by Kaylin Hannon, and the Volunteers rolling up 9-1.
Hannon just crushed this in that 2-3 hole, and that's a mistake from the right fielder Hoover. You have a runner at second base. You need to come through that ball and look to throw that ball forward. You have no chance to get Hannon out at first base, and that second run scored because Hoover was not being aggressive.
Volunteers now up by 8 runs. Still looking to add to it. After 5 in the 4th and 4 in the 5th. Play settles down for a moment. Swing and a miss on the first pitch by Caitlin Parsons. Number 9 hitter takes another strike, so 0-2, and if you are Danny Farley, you do not want to see the top of that order come up again for Tennessee in this inning.
I was just going to say, this is when a freshman needs to understand where she's at in the lineup. You got 2 strikes, you have 2 outs, get this 9-hole hitter out, and don't make it any harder for yourself.
Strike 3 on the swing and miss, and Florida gets out of the inning, but gives up 4 more runs. You know what they say around here, I won't back down. Time to see how much fight.
Welcome back, middle of the 5th here. Tennessee up 9-1. They have hit 4 home runs in the last 5 innings, and they've been doing it on this first one. This is actually a great pitch from Barnhill, but Kaylee able to get a hold of it and crushes it, and that just opened up the door. Barnhill then belts one over the middle of the plate. Easy to get another home run off of that, and then again, locates this one in the middle, slightly elevated, and then you see Danny Farley, the freshman, again, leaves one's middle out, but all of those pitches, minus the first one, elevated enough to just absolutely crush it out of this ballpark.
That was great. 8-run deficit, though, heading to the bottom of the 5th, and we were talking about it in the last break, Francesca. It's time for these hitters to put up a run, or they're going to be prepping for tomorrow afternoon's game.
And that's unfamiliar territory for Florida right there. I mean, I don't even know the last time they've got run ruled at this stadium. I mean, they need to find some grit right now if they want to try to extend this game, really. And they should have the confidence. They have hit Maddie Moss previously very well, but again, Maddie Moss showcasing something new this season, and that's just a next level of energy from her.
Gets another swing and a miss from Sophia Reynoso. 2, 3, 4 hitters due up for Florida. So if it was any spot in the lineup that was going to produce a run, these are the hitters.
You know, and one of the biggest things that Moss is doing is that she's just being so unpredictable with her speeds. Every swing and miss or every contact, the Gators are early on it.
I say ball 2 on that last pitch, and really what a turnaround from Maddie Moss, who pitched against Florida in the SEC tournament last year, issued 8 walks, allowed 6 runs, en route to an 8-run win for Florida, who run-ruled them in Columbia, Missouri. Now it's the Vols trying to return the favor with 3 more outs. Reynoso stays alive in the box.
You know, Moss is just such a competitor out there in the circle. And, you know, one thing, you know, we haven't mentioned yet is that last year Moss was actually injured throughout the entire season. She had some strep throat. Her tonsils kept her sidelined very often, so she wasn't 100%. And because she's so competitive and now she's 100%, she's looking for that redemption.
Ball hit to first. The easy out made by Ashley Morgan. And I think if you're a Tennessee fan, you might just describe her season as uneven because she had moments where she looked like the best pitcher in the SEC and at times really struggled. And you take a look at the Georgia series where she came on 3 innings in relief, didn't give up a single run en route to a win, then started a game that weekend in the series, gave up 8 runs, but looking very comfortable and confident on the road tonight.
I almost think it's very hard to compare Tennessee's team last year to Tennessee's team this year because they were plagued with so many injuries last year. They had 5 players go down. Maddie Moss was sidelined quite a bit of the time because of the tonsil issue. And so the fact that they made it to Supers was pretty good in that fact.
Amanda Lorenz been quiet tonight, but as we've seen here, anybody can get going in a hurry. 9 runs over the last 2 innings for the Volunteers. Two and one in Florida. Not used to losing at home in general. You talk about the last time, you can't remember they were run ruled. Their record since the start of the 2015 season is remarkable.
You kind of need to see from the Gators what you saw from Tennessee in that 4th inning. Energy-wise, they need to get loud. They need to act a little. They need to have the rally caps on, just like Lily Mann does. They need to do something different to try to slingshot them back into this game and to not get run ruled.
8 caps, the amount of runs they need to score here in the next couple of innings. Lorenz gets a good piece of it, but it ropes foul.
And that's the thing that they can't think we need to get these 8 runs to try to win this game. We need to get 1 run to try to keep us in this game right now.
And even just get 1 hit. Florida has only had a single hit in the last 3 innings. And just the home record for the Gators, like we mentioned, since the start of the 2015 season, 118-10. A 92% win percentage. Just unfathomable no matter what conference you play in. Payoff pitch. I know too, Francesca, maybe you can attest to this, but it's better to have a game like this in the 1st or 2nd week of March than to say, okay, this is happening, the 1st or 2nd week of May.
Oh, definitely. I mean, you're really still trying to figure out what the recipe for success is early on.
Ground ball hit to short, and Lorenz is out after Gracie Osborne throws it to first. And 1 more out, and Tennessee can pick up its first win in 6 years, as you can see the smile from Osborne.
Oh, even in that pitch that Maddie Moss just threw, it's just outside the zone, lower in the zone as well, that these Florida batters have not been able to square up, let alone hit anything hard off of Moss.
So it's all up to Kendall Lindemann to get the rally going in the bottom of the 5th inning. Power hitter takes a strike. After a tough start to the bottom of the 1st inning for Tennessee, this team has been locked in, even after struggling against ranked teams. Ball 1. Really taking out some frustrations on years past in a series against the Gators where they just couldn't seem to come out on top, maybe playing a little bit tight because of that fact in the back of their mind. But this team, like you said, totally different from what we may have seen a year or two ago.
I think it's just the emotional levels that they're playing with. You know, even though they had 5 strikeouts and the first time going through the lineup, they still figured out how to make the adjustments. They didn't get their head down. They didn't pout. They were just like, okay, what next? What do we have to do?
Moss trying to close the door on Tennessee's 17th win this year. Game 2 of this series set to go tomorrow afternoon. Game on Sunday. We broadcast nationally on the SEC network. Right now, if you're Florida, trying to come up with some answers after some tough games in Fullerton last week. Those offensive struggles continuing here in the SEC opener. Ground ball hit to third, picked up by Kaylee Phillips, and that will do it. Tennessee run rules Florida in the SEC opener after a blitz of 4 home runs in back-to-back innings.
Anything can happen in SEC play. We talk about just how competitive this conference is, and it is just like a super regional every single time. Maddie Moss coming in for relief with the freshman Ashley Rogers. She just absolutely shut down that Gator offense. The offense for Gators were not able to get anything started off of Moss, so out in front. But the bats for Tennessee, being able to make the adjustments off of Barnhill in that 4th inning. And Kaylee Phillips, 2 home runs. She's seeing the ball. She's seeing it well. She's probably one of the best hitters right now for Tennessee. So hopefully they can try to keep that momentum on for tomorrow's game.
Final score, Tennessee 9, Florida 1. As after 5 innings, you wouldn't have thought of it after 3, but Tennessee, again, an absolute blitz with 4 home runs to take home the win. So for my partner, Francesca Anea, I'm Sean Salisbury saying so long from KSB Stadium. Thank you so much for watching. We'll be back in action tomorrow afternoon in Game 2 of the series between Tennessee and Florida. Have a great night.